Hello, my friends, and welcome. Welcome to the first week of this April Poetry Celebration. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Kate Chadbourne, and I'm hosting this celebration in conjunction with the journal makers, Jumping Fox Design, and they have very generously provided the prizes that we will be having as part of this celebration. So we're so grateful. So we are just getting started, and perhaps you've begun to write some poems. I have, and more about that in a minute. I want to encourage you, though, if you would like to participate, send me some poems. It's very easy. You can send them to me by this Friday, which is the 8th of April, by 5 o'clock in the evening. And if you would be so kind, send them in one attachment or in the body of your email, just so there's a bit less for me to open up. So I'll put all the details in the comment below, but you can send them to kate@katechadbourne.com. So I'm excited to tell you that we actually have a couple of poems that came in early, and I want to share them because they're a wonderful way to welcome April. My friend June Ruth wrote a beautiful poem. June Ruth is one of the most powerful and beautiful singers you could ever imagine, and also a Shanachi, a storyteller. And she sent this beautiful poem. It's called When Birds Sing. I am otherwise a heavy sleeper, but when the birds begin to chatter and call in the early morning, I know spring has come. I love that. And my friend Louise, who is a musician, a composer, and just a creative person, sent this little haiku, and it's just great. And it came from a slip. So she had intended originally to write a song on the piano, but she wrote instead song in the piano, and it gave rise to this haiku, which I like even more. Song in the piano. At times like these, when life comes apart, I'm grateful for your loving heart. I love that. So thank you. That was wonderful just to get a few in early and get us thinking. So our theme for this month is being a poet. What does it mean to be a poet? And on that theme, I wanted to share with you a poem by Wesley McNair, and this is a beautiful compilation or a selection of many of his poems. And if you know me, you know I'm a great fan of Wes. I think he's a marvelous poet, and I also think he's a marvelous human being. These are poems that really celebrate the life around him, a life lived in New England, and that are kind, and that are sharply observed and often funny. This poem I thought was a perfect one to kick us off this month, and it's called How I Became a Poet. Wanted was the word I chose for him at age 8, drawing the face of a bad guy with comic book whiskers, then showing it to my mother. This was how, after my father left us, I made her smile at the same time I told her I missed him, and how I managed to keep him close by in that house of perpetual anger, becoming his accuser and his devoted accomplice. I learned by writing to negotiate between what I had and that more distant thing I dreamed of. Do you love that? And it gives me a chill, and it's so true, isn't it? I learned by writing to negotiate between what I had and that more distant thing I dreamed of. And that's what we are as poets. That's what we can be. That's what's possible for us. So I promised that I would show you what's happening with my Jumping Fox Design new binder that I love. And I wanted to show you what's going on inside here. Here's the first thing. For one thing, I love a good book plate. And this one, if you notice, has a fox. It's just perfect for this month. And check out this beautiful page, this divider. And, oops, I hit myself in the nose. I actually marbled this paper myself. And I'll show you the other pieces. So here's some drafts. These are drafty poems. There's a couple of them in here. And here is another piece of marbled paper that I made. It's just fun to have a good reason to use it. You know, sometimes you save these things. And here's the best reason. Actually, life is the best reason. But how fun it is to outfit this binder with such beautiful paper. Here is a revised poem, and here is just to show you one more piece of beautiful marbled paper. And then in the back here I have some notes about our celebration and what's the poems that I'm reading for you this week. My cat, just to give you a heads up, is playing with the cord, and we'll just hope for the best. So this is life, my friends. It's life with a cat. No, Mishy. No. Life with a cat and poetry. So that's what's happening in there. And then here's my little A6 notebook. And this is where, well, again, I love to adorn things like this. Here's my jumping fox stamp. And then, you know, just in here is drafty things from, I'm carrying this around out in the world. I do want to say the paper is truly luxurious. I'm a fountain pen user, as you know, and this paper really takes the pen so well. So that's what's happening there. So I want to give you a spark for the week. And to do that, I'm actually going to read a little poem that I wrote myself recently. And I hope it will get you thinking about little poems that you might write like this yourself. Here it is. It's just a scrap of a thing. And it's called, I Painted My Nails Today. What was I seeking in this pale pink color? Who am I putting on like a Halloween costume? And what ghost is underneath all this frippery? It's my right to experiment, I say. But was the experiment a success? Am I imagining things? Or are my fingers gasping a little for breath? So the reason I wanted to share that tiny poem was that I thought, our theme being be a poet, let's be on the lookout for moments that we might overlook, that we might ignore, right? Like a little moment like that of after many years experimenting with fingernail polish, and realizing I hate it. Life is full of moments like that can be put into a poem. And it's like a little treasure hunt to find those moments. So seek for those moments and see if you can make a poem around a moment that you might otherwise overlook. Just see what you think. You can write anything you want, but that's an idea. And then finally, I want to give you a dare for the week, and that is to create your own poetry home, your tools. And I'm calling this my poetry home. This is the one I'm working in at my desk as I take my little notebook around with me on my adventures. Adorn your tools. Make them your own. You know, maybe set up a corner of your desk where you're going to store your drafts, or maybe set up a notebook like I've set up this binder. But give a little thought this week. I really do find that preparing the ground for the seeds makes a big difference. It gets you excited, it gets you invested, and it's fun. So if you do that, I would love it if you would leave a comment below about what you're doing, either with our Spark. You can put a poem right in the comments if you like, or with this dare. of preparing your own poetry home and adorning your tools and getting the ground ready for the flowers to come. So I hope that's fun for you. And now I'd like to ask you a favor. Would you like this video? Would you subscribe to this channel? I could use some love here. If you look, YouTube does not readily serve up the poetry videos, and it would be so nice if we could get a little momentum going. And you can do that by liking, subscribing, sharing, and definitely just letting poetry friends know. Young and old, everybody is welcome. Certainly children, people of all ages. I'd love to have lots of poets so that we can celebrate together and it's a real party. So thank you for any help you can give me on that score. And thank you as ever for being here and for taking part, and most of all for being a poet this April. It's a great pleasure. I hope you have a wonderful week of writing, and I'll see you next week.